As you probably know full well by now, indies are some of my absolute favorite types of video games. They offer such unique, one-of-a-kind experiences that most AAA releases are never really able to replicate. From Bit Trip to Fez, my love for these games runs deep, and it actually dates somewhat far back as well. The 3DS was one of the first systems I remember discovering indies through. Gunman Clive, SteamWorld Dig, Shovel Knight. These are all games that I originally found through this console. It was the very beginning of my love for independently developed games, and there's one game in particular on this system that may have jump-started it all. A game called... what does that say? Vvvvvv? The letter V 6 times? Ugh, man, now I lost my flow. Okay, whatever, let's just start the video. The story of V is relatively simple. You play as Captain Viridian, the leader of a space crew of 6. Returning home after a mission, your ship is suddenly met with some strange interdimensional disturbance and quickly begins to malfunction. In a panic, you and your crew race to the ship's built-in teleporter, using it to make a hasty escape. Luckily, everyone manages to evade danger safely, but uh-oh, it seems you were separated from the rest of your comrades. What's more, you've all been teleported and scattered across the mysterious Dimension V. Now, as their leader, you must head out, rescue each of your shipmates, and figure out what's causing the strange disturbance before you can finally return home. And that's it. That's the basic plot of V. The story isn't super complex, which leaves a ton of room for the gameplay itself to shine. The main mechanic of the game, and its biggest draw, is the gravity flipping system. Whereas other platformers rely almost entirely on the player's ability to jump, V takes this away, replacing it with the ability to bend gravity to your will. Gravity flipping is the strongest tool you'll have access to, and throughout the entire game you must utilize it in order to navigate through levels, avoid spikes and hazards, and even find some collectibles or secrets along the way. This may seem like an overpowered ability at first, but pretty soon you'll quickly learn of its biggest limitation. You can't flip in midair, so once you start to bend gravity, you'll be stuck with the decision you made until you either land safely on solid ground, or plummet headfirst into a face full of spikes. You'll have to be careful and intentional, and skillfully apply this ability in order to make it through most rooms in the game. Right off the bat, this probably sounds much more difficult compared to your usual platformer, and that's because it is. This game does not mess around with its difficulty, and believe me, you will get frustrated at times. There will be times when you'll have to replay a room over and over again purely because of the difficulty, but luckily you're also given plenty of checkpoints throughout each area, so there's never really a ton of backtracking involved. I also think it's worth mentioning the game's controls here, since they contribute somewhat to the difficulty level as well. The biggest factor in this is momentum. When controlling Captain Viridian, if you hold down either left or right and let go, you'll notice that he continues to move a bit before coming to a complete halt. Knowing this is detrimental to your playthrough, as some obstacles require extremely precise positioning and movement, and knowing this could be the difference between an easy clear and a half hour of frustration. If you want to make small adjustments, you'll need to tap in the direction you want to go bit by bit, and for that reason, I'd recommend playing this game with either the D-pad of a controller or a keyboard if you're on PC. Speaking of difficulty, while most of the levels in this game are designed pretty well, there are a few traps that are kind of just straight up unfair. There were a few instances where I'd walk onto the next screen only to be immediately hit with a spike or a stage hazard, and while this can be frustrating at times, I wouldn't necessarily say it happens often enough that it ruins the experience of the game at all. Honestly, I'd say the difficulty is one of the game's key features. Throughout the campaign, there were plenty of times where I'd be stuck in an ever-frustrating situation, but With each attempt, I'd learn, adapt, and get even closer to the end of the room until I finally nailed that one tricky flip and made it through once and for all. That feeling of accomplishment you get when you finally get through a seemingly impossible gauntlet of obstacles is unmatched, and it really makes you want to keep pushing forwards onto the next trial until you have to do it all over again. It's the basic gameplay loop of V, and for people who enjoy those more difficult games, it works great. What if you're someone who can't stand near impossible games though? Well, luckily, this game has you covered. If you find the challenges in this game to be too difficult, you can simply activate invincibility in the accessibility menu and explore to your heart's content. If you still want some form of challenge though, you can reduce the game speed instead, to either 80, 60, or 40%. This makes some of the obstacles much easier to cross without fully removing the challenge outright. As for the world of V, well, it's completely open-ended. The map consists of 5 major subsections, each housing a trapped crewmate, and it's up to you to decide where to go first. No one area is locked off from you, so you're free to explore to your heart's content. Every single room in the game also has a unique name, all written by Bennett Foddy of QWOP and Getting Over It fame, which makes for some pretty funny Google searches when you're stuck and need to look up a walkthrough. You'll also find various teleporters scattered throughout the land, which makes backtracking a breeze. And this is especially useful if you want to collect all the trinkets and discover all of the secrets that this game has to offer. And speaking of extras, V comes with plenty of those outside of the story as well. In addition to the main campaign, the game comes packed with a handful of level packs, each made by different members of the community. Some of these levels are tough, and might make you want to break your controller. I'm looking at you, 3. But there are also some level packs on the easier side as well, so there's plenty of variety here. And in addition to these extra built-in packs, if you're playing the PC version of the game, you'll also have access to a level editor. Not only does this mean you'll get to build and share your own increasingly frustrating creations, but you'll also have the ability to download and import levels that others have made. It's as simple as downloading a level, opening the folder, dragging, dropping, and playing. And it opens up a ton of new levels outside of the pre-installed ones for you to play through. While we're on the topic of extras, the developer of the game, Terry Cavanaugh, actually published the source code for V a few years back completely free to download. This means that there are a few fun mods and fan games that you can download and play too. Do you like the gravity flipping mechanic of the main game? Do you also like fishing? Well then bam, here you go, now you can do both. The possibilities are limitless. On the surface, V is a relatively short game, and I managed to finish it in just under 2 hours. However, that was without 100%ing my file. If you want to go for everything, it'll take you a bit longer to beat, especially with how difficult some of the trinkets are to get, so your mileage with this game really depends on your playstyle. I actually think the relatively short campaign time works pretty well though, and kind of plays out to the game's favor, particularly with speedrunning. If you're the type of person that likes to challenge yourself and play a game over and over again until you get the lowest time you possibly can, this is a great game for that. It's long enough that it's challenging, but still short enough that you can easily replay it multiple times without quickly getting burnt out. However, all of that only takes into account the main game mode. As we established earlier, V comes packed with plenty of extra community-made levels, as well as a level editor and a whole community's worth of downloadable level packs if you're playing on PC. Taking all of this into account, there's definitely a lot to do here. And for the base price of only $5 on Steam, or $10 on the eShop, I think that's a pretty incredible deal. It's no secret that the indie scene is booming right now, with more games to play than ever before. Occasionally, it can feel tough to find something to play with the near oversaturation of the current market, so sometimes it can be best to go back to the originals. V is a great choice for that, with charming graphics, funny writing, and an incredibly unique gameplay mechanic that all make up for one of the most distinctive and timeless independent games out there on the market.